Does smoke affect pumpkin growth? The answer is yes. The smoke affects the overall health of the pumpkin. The pumpkin needs the UV rays to kill bacteria and photosynthesis. The smoke blocks the UV rays. Once bacteria sets in, blossom rot starts to take place, making it rot from the inside out, making the pumpkin unsellable. Does smoke affect pumpkin growth? The answer is yes. The smoke affects the overall health of the pumpkin. The pumpkin needs the UV rays to kill bacteria and photosynthesis. The smoke blocks the UV rays. Once bacteria sets in, blossom rot starts to take place, making it rot from the inside out, making the pumpkin unsellable. Does smoke affect pumpkin growth? The answer is yes. The smoke affects the overall health of the pumpkin. The pumpkin needs the UV.
This is Wyatt Crowley with the Kittitas County KYG talking about what effects smoke has on cattle. My first question for Raymond Dagnan was, does smoke have an effect on the cattle? He answered, it seems like the heavy smoke causes calves to not grow as much. It stunts their growth about 20 pounds on average. My second question was, does the smoke affect the regrowth of the rangeland? And he said it causes the grass to have less nutrients, and it makes it so that the photosynthesis doesn't work right because it can't get all the rays from the sun. My last question that I had for Ray about his cattle was, does the smoke affect your ability to work your cattle? He says, yes, it is bad for the lungs of the people and the horses, mixed with the high elevations. He also says that it's harder to find the cattle because some are white, and the higher the elevation, the more smoke, which makes it harder to find the cattle in the brush. Along with the questions for Ray about his cattle, I had questions for him about his corn. Normally per winter, he feeds about 1,000 tons of corn. But in previous years, due to smoke, he's only produced about 800 tons. That means that he has to buy more hay, and the hay has been at higher prices for the same reason of photosynthesis. So it's even more money out of his pocket for that extra hay.
Cost of firefighting, I contacted Josh Mueller, the Wildfire Intelligence Coordinator for the Department of Natural Resources. I asked him some questions, and he gave some very helpful answers. The first question I asked was, what is the cost of maintenance for each fire truck when it is sent out per hour? He said that usually DNR mechanics perform the repairs to agency fire trucks. When this is the case, labor cost is $95 per hour plus the cost of any parts needed. In some cases, fire trucks are repaired at private repair shops, and the labor cost varies up to about $150 per hour plus the cost of parts. I also asked him how often fire trucks are replaced and how much that costs. He said that fire trucks are replaced when they are no longer capable of performing in a reliable manner. As a general rule, most trucks need to be replaced at 12 years of age or 100,000 miles. The cost to build a new fire truck for the DNR is $115,000. I also asked him if it costs anything to fill fire trucks with water, or if they used a chemical to put out fires, how much that cost. He said that we usually attempt to fill our engines from a water source, such as a creek or a lake, so we typically don't track the cost to fill our engines with water. We use a product called FOSCheck. This is a Class A foam that we carry on the engines. The cost for a 5-gallon jug is $102.10. I also asked him how many fire trucks are sent out for wildfires on average. He said, when we respond in what is called initial attack, the number of fire engines that we send depends on the report we get about the fire. On an average initial attack, we send at least 2 engines. I also asked him how much per person in taxes are put into the fire department. He said, for the Department of Natural He said for the Department of Natural Resources, there is a tax called the Forest Fire Protection Assessment, or the FFPA. This tax is applied to certain properties with unimproved forest land on them. FFPA rates are established in law by the legislature. In western Washington, a parcel up to 50 acres pays the minimum assessment of $17.40. For parcels over 50 acres, the minimum assessment is charged plus 31 cents per acre for each acre over 50. In eastern Washington, a parcel up to 50 acres pays the minimum assessment of $17.20. For parcels over 50 acres, the minimum assessment is charged plus 29 cents per acre for every acre over 50. I also asked him what measures are taken to prevent fires. He said, there are several measures taken to prevent fires. We participate in community outreach by going to schools and talking fire prevention with students, conduct workshops with communities on being fire-wise, and going to
I talked to Craig George, owner of Foothills Farm, who gave me insight on how wildfires and smoke affects hay. I asked, how is the smoke in Kittitas County affecting hay? He replied with, the first time we had bad smoke a couple years ago, I was worried about the smell seeping into the hay. So far, it hasn't been an issue. The biggest issue is when hay is cut and the smoke traps the heat and humidity in it, which doesn't allow the hay to dry properly. We let it sit longer and then powder the hay when baling. The use of powder also adds to the cost of producing the hay. I also asked, has the quality of hay decreased due to smoke? His answer was yes, especially the second cutting. When it lays out to dry longer, the quality goes down. Finally, I asked if he has ever had to send workers home due to smoke. His response was yes. We got to the point where everyone was so worn out from the smoke, we had to send them home early if they weren't baling. In conclusion, Foothills Farm has been negatively impacted by wildfires and their smoke.